the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota Timberwolves, I believe, now are 11-3. And keep in mind that right now, well, they're doing it with defense before we get into it. But right now, they're without Jaden McDaniels, who I believe is one of the best defenders in the NBA. And their defense has not slowed down. So I do want to know what you've seen from the Timberwolves. I know you've missed a couple of games. I was watching them all day today. It's probably why I'm so tired. But I'm going to go to you first about what you've seen from the Timberwolves.
It's ironic you said McDaniels. He's also him and Kenrich are both, they're two of my probably 5 favorite role players on any in the whole NBA. Yeah. But the things I've seen with them, I haven't really caught up this week per se, but I did watch a couple of the games last week. Is the Towns Gobert minutes are working? Yeah, sometimes it's truly that simple. When your best players can play together, you become a better team. Obviously, I feel like we'd be, I don't even know what the word is, but Anthony Edwards, man, he needs to be mentioned.
I'm gonna get to him
because the defense with this team is elite. The best defensive rating in basketball as of today. They're 12-4 with the best defensive rating in basketball. Their offense isn't quite elite. It's just slightly above water at 13. But a lot of that is just Anthony Edwards just having to do something by himself and creating something out of nothing, seemingly just about every single time. And you can just defer, and he's able to come up with these certain plays. Another player that I do want to give a lot of credit to, because often I feel like he just gets overlooked, literally whatever team he's on. But every time you notice, every time he goes to a team, the team's offense just automatically gets better, is Mike Conley.
Oh, yeah.
Definition of a floor general, just knows how to get people to their spots. When he was in Memphis had an elite offense. When he was with Utah, their offense took off as well. And it's like there's correlation. He's the one running the offense. Doesn't mean he's taking all the shots. Doesn't mean he's, ungodly number of assists. Everybody runs offenses in different ways, but I like the way he runs the team just in general for them, man, because it's truly, Mike Conley has been phenomenal player on both ends of the court.
Yeah. I believe Mike Conley had 18 and 10 tonight. Something like that.
On 6 threes.
6 threes, 10 assists. So, and he's been one of my favorite players since he's really before he got in the league, because there was a game, and I don't know how, I'd never ask you your age. I don't know how old you are, but there was a game, a real big deal on ESPN, high school game. It was Mike Conley and Greg Oden's team against Eric Gordon's team. I watched that game on ESPN, and I followed Mike Conley and Greg Oden all the way through Ohio State and the NBA. And so Mike Conley, from the Grizzlies days on, I love cerebral point guards.
Yep.
And his IQ is insane. Everything you mentioned, we'll get back to him though, because Anthony Edwards. Now, man, he's one of those talents to where I find myself laughing a lot. And it's not because anything's funny. It's just because that's all I can do. It's just like you said, creating something out of nothing. But there's nothing on the basketball court. What do you think his weakness is? Because I don't see one.
It's crazy because not even defensively, I feel like he's a weak defender. It's just kind of the interest level. I feel like offensively, sometimes his ability to just kind of settle for jumpers, I guess shot selection is a thing. Yeah. But I feel like we end up saying that for just about every elite scorer.
Yeah.
Oh, he should get to the rim more. Oh, he should get to the rim more. Oh, he should get to the rim more. And I don't think he has a true weakness. And I feel like this is the first year he's actually like piecing everything together.
Yeah.
He's shown these.
And that's, oh, you can go ahead and finish.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Absolutely.
And that's what's scary. But I did realize something, right? Because I'm real big on like the history of the NBA. And so in 92, Dream Team happens. Charles Barkley's on that team. He comes back to the NBA, wins MVP. 08, the Redeem team. Dwayne Wade comes off an injury, goes out there, leads them in scoring, comes back to the NBA, averages 30. So there's something about and there's a lot more examples. I just don't want to drag it out. But it's like every time they go out to the Olympics or international play, everybody's level just raises because they're playing with these elite players in practice. And I know this Olympic team, USA team wasn't the best they've ever had, but still, you're playing with some of the best players in the league every single day. You're getting better. And Anthony Edwards this summer just showed the world he's a superstar.
Yep.
And now he's coming back to the league and he's put it all together because of that experience. And so with that being said, there's this question that floats around a lot of when LeBron retires, when Steph retires, when KD retires, who's going to be the face of the league? I don't necessarily think it's going to be just one player because I don't think that's how fans work anymore. I think fans kind of choose their player and follow them. But if I had to choose, like gun to my head, I think Anthony Edwards would get my vote. Because, like I said, like his weakness being shot selection, I don't even think that's a big deal because one, how young he is, and two, he's just so good. He's earned some bad shots.
Exactly.
He's earned some bad shots, and just watching him really all season, but especially these past few games, there's just there's nowhere you can send him to stop him from scoring. He's pulling up from three on fast breaks. Which you can talk about the settling. I understand both sides of that. Obviously, he'll dunk on you. That's no questions asked. His ability to finish through contact because of his strength and his football background, ridiculous. And ones on and ones on and ones. He has the mid-range pull-up. He'll post you up, and he has a polished post game, which is kind of crazy for a guard in general, but especially a guard that young.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. Like I can't even understand like the level of talent he has. And then remember, in basketball, it's not even his first sport.
Yeah, I typically really dislike player comparisons, but I hate when people do it in like a vacuum. But I'm gonna do it, man. He's the closest thing that personally I've seen since Dwayne Wade.
Yeah,
his mode of playing it feels like Dwayne Wade. Most of the time, obviously, there's never a one-to-one comparison, guys. Like everybody's unique, but his frame, his like you said, his post footwork, his ability to get to whatever spot he wants to at the floor feels like whenever he wants to. The fourth quarter comes around, the offense stalls out. It's Anthony Edwards' time because, I'm pretty sure we'll touch on him too. Towns hasn't really, even though he's gotten better, he kind of struggles sometimes in those situations when the defense tightens up. But he's like their release valve. He's literally their go-to scorer on offense, and then on the defensive end, he's been whenever he's locked in, you can see like elite defensive potential every time he steps on the court whenever he wants to. Obviously, it's not his task, different league, whatever you want to say, but he's been sensational, truly sensational. And we touched on Shea. Deserving some MVP votes. If Minnesota continues to play like this, they're 12-4 currently. 12-4, that's like a 50 win pace team, something like that. I don't know. My math is bad, but atop the West, if they finish top of the West and Anthony Edwards goes out 27-6-5, just exactly how he is, best defense in the league, do you think he should get some votes or consideration?
100%. No questions asked. And it is funny you brought up the Dwayne Wade comparison because I watched a ton of Dwayne Wade growing up, obviously, but I had that same thought. And what immediately came to me is Anthony Edwards, Dwayne Wade, and Victor Oladipo all had the same college coach, Tom Crean. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the way he's training these guys. I don't know. But Anthony, and he added the bank shot too, which is hilarious. Like somebody who's been compared to Dwayne Wade adding a bank shot now. But you did mention Karl-Anthony Towns. I think he's gotten himself right. He started off real bad this season, but his shooting being where it is, and we also have to remember last year he only played 29 games, so that's a big part of their struggles, and they weren't able to really mesh. I want to really talk about Karl-Anthony Towns next to Rudy Gobert because that duo had a lot of questions, and I do think they look a lot better now than obviously it was a small sample size last year. But a big part of that is it looks the way it's supposed to. Karl-Anthony Towns, he made the comment he's the best shooting big of all time. I think it's laughable when you hear it at first because he has a funny voice and whatever it is. And if we're still calling power forwards bigs, like I still do that because I'm 31 years old. Then obviously you say Dirk. But when you're looking at the numbers, I don't think there's any centers particularly close to Karl-Anthony Towns as far as shooting threes goes. And so when he has his shot going, you're able to play him with Rudy Gobert. And here's why. Rudy Gobert looks a lot different this year. And I'll give him the credit. I know he's another one. He's easy to clown. It's trendy to clown Rudy Gobert. Very polarizing player. A lot of that was because of him. Because if you made the point that he gets played off the floor in the playoffs, he did. But I do think there's a part of that analysis that was missing this whole time. Yes, he got played off the floor because you just go small and he can't chase those guys around. But the reason he couldn't stay on the floor was a combination of that and the fact he couldn't punish small guys on the offensive end. This year, he's been doing that. Last year and the year before when he was in Utah, he wasn't really sealing his defender. It looks like he didn't really know what he was doing down there. I'm not saying he's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar all of a sudden. He's not. But it's enough to take advantage. And a part of that is also with the Mike Conley fit, like you mentioned, which is a little weird because they played together in Utah. But I think that just also speaks to Rudy Gobert's improvement on the offensive end and being a little more reliable. Not he's going to go out there and average 20. That's not who he is. But he's a little more reliable now because of that. And also we know what he does protecting the paint. And then they have enough perimeter defenders, unlike the Utah teams where they had a couple. They have enough to balance it out to where you have enough guys moving around and being able to switch, make 1 through 4 if they need to, whatever it is. They can cover up for his deficiencies on the perimeter. He doesn't have to switch out ever if he doesn't need to. So now he gets to really play to his strength and be in a drop and protect the paint like he needs to. And he's blocking shots like he used to because last year his block numbers were kind of down. And so I'm going to give Rudy Gobert credit on that end. I don't know if you've seen anything from him so far, but I just want to know what you think of that.
Rudy Gobert is what he is. Some people hate it. Some people love it. He is a drop big who can play at the level. He is not a switch big.
Right.
And this year, it's one more year. First of all, everybody getting accommodated with each other.
Yeah.
Towns didn't play last year. They've played 333 minutes this year. I feel like that's kind of what they played last year. And they've already played it through 16 games. They're +7 net rating. Yeah. Like it's working, and it's working just because, not just because, but he's elite at what he does, and that's all they're asking him to do. Sometimes it's that simple. People like to pick holes in players. Oh, he's not this and he's not that. But if they're not being asked to do that, it does not matter at the end of the day for the result of that team. I feel like some of the switch things were, specifically when he was in Utah, I thought they were kind of overblown. Yeah. And, we know in Heat Twitter or whatever, Gobert gets clowned a lot because he took away a couple of DPOYs from Bam.
Yeah.
That's a different story. But we can say Bam's an elite defender and Gobert is as well in their own way. But this team with him, man, he's just, again, if he's not the most offensively skilled player, but if he's going out there and he's helping them grab offensive rebounds as well, creating these extra possessions, if Towns is shooting the way he's shooting, if Anthony Edwards, doesn't matter who's in his face, and he's shooting the way he's shooting, if Mike Conley shoots 6 threes like he did today and they're shooting the way they're shooting, then this meshes a little bit differently, and Gobert just anchors that all defensively in a way that they have, honestly, that they've needed. I don't think they've had a good defense since Kevin Garnett was there.
And we can't talk about the Timberwolves without bringing up the fan favorite out there right now.
Slow-mo,
but also Naz Reid.
Oh, for sure.
His improvement, because I remember him coming into the league as just like a hustle guy, just rebound, defend. Right now, he's shooting, I think, 39% from 3.
It's funny because it's like when he just does whatever they need offensively at whatever moment they need it.
Yeah.
He's kind of he's used in the same way Anthony Edwards is when Anthony Edwards is on the bench. And it sounds fucking crazy I'm saying that, but like, no, for real, like he's their bailout guy on offense. He's shooting the tray ball incredibly well. His efficiency around the rim is very good. He can play the 4 spot. He can play the 5 spot. Their best 2 big lineup is him and Towns, and neither one of them is a plus defender, but just the hustle, everything, man. He's been. I feel like if he was in a different team or if he'd played a little bit more, he would be in contention for 6 man of the year. Yeah. Or he probably win it. He should be in contention anyways, but I feel like he would probably win it.
Yeah, and I feel like with him, I'm going to include myself. I think sometimes we all look at teams going into the season and what they can be and what can work and what can't work. And what we ignore is what the guys are working on in the offseason. Now, if Naz Reid comes back still not really comfortable shooting threes, this team doesn't work because you can't play him with Rudy Gobert. He plays with Rudy Gobert. And like the question going into the season was, which one, like you may have to get rid of Rudy Gobert so he can shine, or they can't coexist on the same team. They're not coexisting in the same lineup, and it's working. And so, man, just big salute to Naz Reid for that. I'm watching him push on fast breaks. I'm watching him Euro and get and ones. It's like, who is this? and so just credit to him for the work he's put in.
It's crazy that the Timberwolves have 2 players that are 50, 40, 90 or damn near, and it's both their bigs. Towns is 50, 40, 91, and Reid is 50, 39 and a half, 90. Like, and Mike Conley's 48, 46, 90.
And it's just
or 100. Yeah, Mike Conley hasn't missed a free throw. This is insane.
Man, it's just like this team. I don't feel like this is one of those teams that's just starting hot in the season and then it's going to slow down. Watching them this week, they have I don't like the word poise. Not that I don't like the word, it's just I don't like how it sounds, just to be honest. But they just come out in certain points of the game, just decide, all right, you know what, this game is over. You're not scoring anymore, and you're not stopping us. And they're doing this against good teams. And so it's like, I believe in the team. I don't know how far they're going. Like I don't like making predictions anyway, but this is a legitimate team. Playoffs for sure. I don't know how far the playoffs, but playoffs for sure.
To be very honest with you, I think, again, it's a lot of matchup-based stuff. I think this is probably the best suited team to beat Denver in a 7-game series.
They gave them trouble last year, I believe, right?
They were the only team that beat them twice last year. They didn't have Towns, but just say what you want about Gobert, but Gobert, Towns, Reid, they have bodies to throw at Jokic. They don't let Aaron Gordon bully them. They have somebody like McDaniels who can just, you go out there, you put him on KCP, or you can put him on Jamal, or you can put him on Michael Porter. Anthony Edwards, you know what he's going to do. And it's like their build for this team, I feel like kind of balances off the most off of Denver. And I think Denver should still be the favorites to win the West. But, man, keep an eye on Minnesota for sure, because it's not fraudulent after 16 games. It should, they're here for a real reason.
And also, before we move on, credit to Nickeil Alexander-Walker for stepping in Jaden McDaniels' absence. And because I did mention early in this segment that their defense hasn't really slipped, and he's been a huge part of that. And so that makes them scary too, to where they can lose an important player and they have another one just plug in right away and they don't lose anything. And so that's always dangerous for a team, because a lot of playoffs is, unfortunately, injury luck. Yeah.
Yeah, and Nickeil's been he was somebody I really, really wanted for the Heat to try to poach. But he's you know what he is. He's a point of attack defender who can shoot the tray ball, and he's a very good connective passer. He played point guard all of his college career, and he was very good at what he did there. But just like you said, plug and play. Not that he makes McDaniel's absence completely, but he helps patch up the holes. Sometimes that's all you need, man.